Chapter 5 Sal. G'day everyone, Rune here, and this is Chapter 5 of my What If Hub Survived story. If you're new to this series, click the link in the description below to be taken to the playlist. Now let's begin the next chapter. Lan and Hub hop off of the train as it reaches Gov Station, Lan stretching out his arms with one of his rare smiles on his face. As they exit the station, they decide to split up, with Hub heading to their dad's office to see if he can find him, and Lan heading to the spot where Sal usually sets up her bento stand. Spotting the green-haired teen, he runs up to her with a warm greeting. Spotting the younger boy, Sal beams, welcoming him back and asking how he's been and how Hub's first day of school went. She's been waiting for the metro to be done so that Lan and Hub can come tell her all about it. Lan begins to tell her about Hub's first day of school, dramatically whining about his classmates staring at him, causing Sal to giggle. Lan grins back, some of the weight that he's been carrying on his shoulders since the school jacking easing off a bit. After their laughter dies down, Sal turns to him with a thoughtful look, asking if anything happened today. Lan tells her that there was nothing of note, but trails off at the end as he notices Sal's piercing gaze. He sighs, thinking that he should have known better than to think that he could hide anything from his best friend. He tells Sal about the events of that day, how he'd allowed himself to get blindsided and captured, leaving Hub to deal with the situation on his own. Sal lightly swats the back of Lan's head, drawing his attention back to her and away from his thoughts. Giving him a fond but exasperated look, she tells him that he's being too hard on himself. From what she's hearing, Lan and Nega did everything they could, even with the odds stacked against them. Besides, Lan is 11. He shouldn't have to deal with World 3 in the first place. She pokes his cheek with a smile, telling him that he did well. Lan huffs, lightly swatting away her hand as his cheeks turn a light pink. He pointedly ignores the snickering coming from the PET at his belt. It's at this moment that Hub arrives, drawing Lan and Sal's attention. The green-haired girl waves at him with a smile, telling him that it's nice to see him before congratulating him on his first day of school. Hub smiles back, thanking her before turning to Lan, who's still leaning against Sal's stall. He tells him that their dad wasn't in his lab, and he and Rock couldn't find anything on his computer, so they just left a message with the prog in charge of managing the PC to let him know that they dropped by. Lan nods in understanding before pushing himself off the stool, asking if that means they're heading home now. Hub teases Lan a little, asking if he's trying to stop him from talking to Sal. Lan just gives his brother a baffled look, asking what he's talking about. It's Sal's closing time, so she's going to be heading to the train too, and downtown is on the same train route as AC/DC, so he figured they'd all be able to talk on the train. Hub sighs as his teasing goes completely over Lan's head before turning on his heel and beginning to make his way to the station, calling for Lan and Sal to come on. How is he this dense? How are you this dense? Lan ignores the comments from the navvies, calling for Hub to wait as they still need to help Sal pack up her stall. 1 month later, Lan and Hub wake up on what seems to be another typical school day. That is, until they head out to the kitchen to see their mother's concerned face. Getting a bad feeling, Lan asks her what's wrong. Giving a sigh, she tells her boys that the water isn't running for some reason, so she wasn't able to make breakfast or lunch. Seeing the look on her face, Lan instantly knows what's going through her head. After all, it's the same thing that's going through his. Part of keeping Hub's heart condition in check is ensuring that he eats right. And right after he was finally given the green light to go to school, anything that could pose a setback is concerning. Noticing the looks on their faces, Hub smiles wide as he throws an arm over Lan's shoulders, nearly knocking him over. He asks why they're looking so glum before telling their mom that they can just get something to eat at school. Hearing those words and seeing Hub's carefree smile, Haruka smiles back, slightly reassured, while Lan gives a slight huff. With that settled, the boys make their way outside to wait for Mail, only to find her already there. After exchanging surprised greetings, the trio begin to make their way to school. On the way, Mail asks the boys if they were out so early because their water wasn't working. Lan and Hub nod, asking if it was the same for her. Mail nods, explaining about how she wasn't even able to wash her face this morning. Gross! Lan attempts to placate her by telling her that she'll be able to do that once they get to school. However, when they walk through the front gate, they're greeted by a deeply worrying sight. The fountain in the center of the courtyard is completely empty. The little fake lily pads that had once floated in it for decoration now sitting at the bottom of an empty concrete dish. The trio of preteens stare at the sight before looking at each other. Could there be no water in the school too? Mel nervously suggests that they get to class, rushing on ahead while Lan and Hub lag behind to give each other a look. This is something far bigger than just their neighborhood. They just know it. When they arrive at the classroom, it's an absolute cacophony of sound. Lan is tempted to put his hands over his ears in order to block out the noise, already feeling a headache coming on. But he forces himself not to so that he can listen to what everyone is saying. Turns out, everyone is talking about the water being cut. Either complaining about not being able to have any breakfast, or being thirsty, or not being able to use the washrooms. Others are worried what this could possibly mean and when the water will come back. As the twins take their seats at their desks, Mail comes running up to them. Leaning in close, she begins to whisper, "I just heard this from Yai. It seems that one of the kids from B class is missing." Before she can say anything else, or the boys can ask any questions, the bell to signal homeroom rings. Mail quickly tells the boys that they'll talk later before she rushes to her desk, along with everyone else. After a few moments, Ms. Mari walks in and greets them. Before she can say anything else, however, Dex calls out that he doesn't have any water at his house, along with several other kids. Mari calls for them to settle down and that she was about to make an announcement about that. The moment the class is silent, she informs them that the whole town has lost its water, causing the whole room to gasp. She tells them that there's currently no information on what's caused it or when it'll be fixed. So, in the interest of their health and safety, Hub and Lan pretend not to notice the glance she sends their way. School is going to be cancelled until the matter is sorted. Dex immediately cheers, only to be gently reminded by Ms. Mari that they can't do anything too physical, as that will make them thirsty. Getting out of their chairs, Hub and Lan walk over to Mail. Spotting them coming over, she jerks her head towards the door. Silently, they follow her out of the classroom and down the hall until they see Yai. Lan's shoulders tighten instinctively at the sight of her, his every instinct telling him to turn around and walk away. However, with Hub right behind him, he can't even stop walking. Reluctantly, he follows Mail until she stops in front of the blonde, who looks up at all of them skeptically. She asks why Mail had asked for them to meet out here and why she brought the boys with her. Lan stiffens further at that and is about to say something when Mail beats him to it. She tells Yai that that's rude, and that she wants her to tell the boys what she told her this morning. Yai sighs, telling them that there isn't much to say. One of the boys from B class is missing and it feels suspicious to her. That last bit gets Lan's attention and he asks her what makes her say that. He could just be out sick today. Yai frowns, telling him that she can't quite put her finger on it. It just feels off. Call it woman's intuition, but something is telling her that this isn't normal. Lan and Hub exchange a look, ignoring Mail's stage-whispered comment of twin speak before nodding and turning back to the girls. Hub tells them that they'll keep an eye and ear out for anything. They're about to head off when Yai calls for them to wait. Walking up to them, she hands them a little slip of paper. At their confused expression, she tells them that it's her email address. This way they can stay in contact and let each other know if they find anything. She's not just going to sit back and leave this all to them. Hub takes the slip of paper with a nod before the boys begin to make their way out of the school. First Dex, now Yai? Did I step into an alternate universe when I wasn't looking? A few minutes later, the twins find themselves at Sci Labs. Walking towards the main building, they spot Sal pacing back and forth nervously. As they make their way towards her, she spots them and a relieved smile comes to her face. Reaching under the cloth covering her stall, she pulls out 2 bentos and 2 water bottles before rushing over to them. She tells the twins that she's glad she was able to see them as she hands them the bentos and drinks. She explains to the boys that she wasn't able to get her usual delivery of drinks this morning due to the delivery truck blowing a tire. And all of the vending machines in the Scilab building are empty. Like someone bought them all out. They'd just been restocked 2 days ago, so it's really suspicious. It's lucky that she's always made sure to have a good number of extra drinks in storage just in case, because she's been inundated with people wanting to buy drinks from her. She was barely able to save these 2 bottles in case Lan and Hub showed up. She tells them to put the bentos and bottles in their bags until they're ready to eat them, as she's already had a confrontation with an aggressive customer today. Telling them to be safe, she heads back to her stall in order to ensure it isn't messed with. After hiding their bentos and drinks in their bags, the boys make their way into the building, where they find a massive crowd of people at the main desk of the waterworks customer service. Taking one look at the insanity, they decide to steer clear of it, instead making their way to the waterworks security desk, where there's only 2 people. One is the guard, a middle-aged woman that sometimes greets them when they come by to visit their dad, and a boy about their age with hair that's white on the top and black at the bottom. Walking up to the desk, they're able to catch the tail end of their conversation. The boy mentions checking the waterworks security and network, while the guard mentions something about official net battlers and IDs. The boy moves away from the desk and notices the twins making their way towards them. His eyes lock on Lan, looking him up and down before they narrow in suspicion. "What's a couple of kids like you doing here?" He pointedly looks at Lan at the "you," making the boy glare right back at him. "Wow, rude much?" Hub frowns and is about to say something when the guard speaks up, greeting the twins warmly before asking why they aren't in school. Hub explains that classes were cancelled due to the water issue. The guard gives a sympathetic sigh, then informs them that their father is dealing with an off-site project right now and won't be back for a while. But he told her that if they came by and he's not here, to let the 2 of them know that he's left something for them on his PC. The brothers thank her for telling them before turning and making their way towards their dad's office. Lan can feel the sensation of eyes burning into his back right up until they turn the corner and are out of sight. Turning to his brother, Hub asks if they're going to wait for that guy to leave and then head back to talk to the guard. Lan shakes his head. She'd mentioned that guy needed an ID in order to enter the waterworks, so they're going to need one too. Hub nods, telling Lan that their dad still leaves his spare ID in his desk drawer. Besides, he wants to see what their dad left them. In agreement, the boys make their way to their dad's office, where, sure enough, they find their dad's spare ID in the desk drawer. Jacking Mega and Rock into the PC, they quickly find what their dad had left for them. The pair of upgrades that he'd been meaning to give to them for a while, and a little training simulator as an apology for missing them whenever they come to visit. After installing the upgrades, they head back to the waterworks, using their dad's ID to use the elevator down. Entering the main control room, they look around until they see someone familiar. "Hello, Mr. Freud." The silver-haired man in a blue jumpsuit turns to the boys, eyes wide with surprise. A small, fond smile spreading on his lips, he greets the boys back, commenting on how long it's been since they last saw each other. He then gives them a serious look, asking why they aren't in school right now. Hub explains that the water has been completely cut off in AC/DC Town, so classes were cancelled. No one had any information on what was going on, so they came to see for themselves, and to make sure that they knew what areas were being affected. Freud sighs, running a hand through his hair. He thanks the boys for coming to tell him, but they already know. As for what's happening, it seems that a bug got into the pump program, so the water's stopped. They're working to fix it, but it'll take time. The boys thank Freud for telling them and are about to leave when he tells them to wait. Reaching under the panel that he's currently working from, he pulls out 2 water bottles before handing them to them. "Try not to move around too much, you 2, and try to ration these. I have a good stockpile, but it's not infinite." The boys thank him for the water and begin to make their way back to the elevator. Once they're at the doors, Lan makes a quick scan around before turning to Hub. In a low voice, he whispers to him that there's more to this than Freud is telling them. Hub nods in agreement. If this was something as simple as a bug, then why would they have gotten an official net battler involved? And it doesn't explain the other weird things happening today, like that kid that's missing, or Sal's delivery being waylaid, or all of the vending machines being empty. There's too many things for them to all be a coincidence. Rock asks what they intend to do. Hub and Lan are silent as they try to think, before Mega makes a suggestion. "We could hide out until people leave for the day, and then do some investigating ourselves." Hub, Lan, and Rock all nod in agreement. That's a good plan. Lan suggests that they hide in their dad's office. He's off-site today, and no one will think anything of them being there. Nodding in agreement, they make their way back to Yuichiro's office. Once they're there, they're suddenly struck with the question of what they're going to do until everyone leaves. The first to make a move is Lan, who pulls off his bag before digging out the bento that Sal had given him. I don't know about you, Hub, but I'm starving. And that, everyone, is where I'm going to leave the story for now. Join me next time as Lan, Hub, Rockman, and Mega Man begin to truly investigate what in the world is going on at Waterworks. I'm Rune. See you next chapter.